People say it's hard to survive in nature. But Stafford was enjoying a sweet, supple dumpling. Fresh fish sashimi and crickets contain a lot of protein. Survival feels more like a vacation. Fairytale Valley in Taiwan is one of the most renowned places. It's the toughest I've ever faced. With extremely complex terrain, my opponent this time is an explorer and survival expert. Nis is also my son's teacher. So we know each other well. After a short chat, we headed to the challenge site, along the path chosen by Chu, the great planner and arbitrator of the rules. The route starts from a river. They travel through giant rocks and rugged jungle. The destination is a suspension bridge 70 kilometers away. They both jumped into the river and swam to shore. Nis took the lead and continued following the river, while he turned onto a mountainside path. They split into two directions. He climbed the steep slope. Then it suddenly rained heavily, making the path more difficult. He moved forward carefully. Strangely, there was no rain on Nis's side, but the rocky terrain was equally challenging. He had to move slowly between the rocks, on a wet and slippery path. After some time, they both continued toward the destination. Now it seemed impossible. Both sides were steep cliffs. Later on, after many struggles, he reached the other side of the river, but had to go against the current. Although he seemed to fall behind, his route led directly to the finish line, a waterfall with rugged terrain. He had to climb over large rocks. Just when he thought everything was fine, he encountered another waterfall. He tried to climb it but failed. So he changed direction, went through the forest, and reached a structured area, where he used bamboo to make a ladder. Then he easily climbed to the top of the waterfall, excited to have overcome the challenge. On the other side, Nis continued her journey to find a tree by the river. She made rope from bark and caught a small crab. She ate it on the spot, crispy and tasty like chicken, though the meat was little. It wasn't long before it started to rain. She was forced to find shelter in the forest. Inside a cave, she lined up leaves as big as cushions and decided to camp there. With the shelter ready, the next task was to build a campfire. She found rope and wood, wrapped the rope under the wood, and started rubbing. Unfortunately, the rope broke, and she replaced it with a new one. She kept trying. It took a lot of energy, but eventually, there was a spark. As night fell, he went to a bamboo forest to collect 10 stalks to build a shelter. He placed leaves on top and finished quickly. Then he rubbed a piece of dried bamboo to start a fire. This time, the fire started quickly. It made life easier. That night, I lit a fire and slept well. The next day, Nis followed the river, while I stayed behind to prepare breakfast. He caught crickets to temporarily restore his energy, then continued catching more to store in a bag. Deep into the forest, he discovered Taiwan's characteristic light tree, perfect for making food. Back at camp, he cut bamboo and stuffed the luminous tree core with crickets. It had enough meat content. I began wrapping the cakes one by one in banana leaves. After about 49 minutes, the cakes were ready. When opened, a fragrant aroma spread, soft and sweet in the mouth. It brought me joy. Even you couldn't stop praising it. Meanwhile, Nis continued the journey through the valley where the river and mountains widened. The path became easier. However, a landslide appeared ahead. We had to avoid the dangerous area carefully. They followed the forest but couldn't find the path, forced to climb the slope to find another route. After eating, Nis followed the stream uphill, climbing over many large rocks. He found a waterfall and tried to climb it, but it didn't work. He had to go back down. There, he found a cave, but water started to seep in. He tried to swim through, climbed up the rocks, but they were too slippery to grip. So, he had to keep going. The deeper the water got, the more he had to push it away with his head to breathe. In a critical moment, he dove in, swimming through the darkness. He swallowed a bit of water but remained safe. Finally, he emerged into another cave. As night fell, Nis found a fallen tree in the forest and built a shelter. He tried to spend the night in the cave. The next morning, Nis pulled a sausage from the shelter, gently offering it as food. But she was enlightened and only ate vegetarian, so he let it go naturally. Esther Buddha left the cave, took some bamboo to the river, and made a fishing pole. After a long walk, he was glad to finally catch a fish. He ate it on the shore. Fresh sashimi is several times richer in protein than beef. After breakfast, they continued the journey. This was one step ahead, over the mountain and across the river. She faced a dangerous, large waterfall. She gathered 10 long climbing ropes and tied them to a rock. Used the rope to land safely. Go one more paragraph. You meet the current. Again, with Leo's rope tied to the tree, you get through. Carefully and firmly, Nis slowly slides down. After a day of trying, we both continue our journey as the day draws to a close. Esther goes into the forest to build a shelter. But while collecting 10 pieces of lumber, I accidentally used too much force and fell. Meanwhile, Nis comes to a bamboo forest. using bamboo to build shelters. After completion, she continues using bamboo to knit baskets. She carries the basket to the river, uses wood as a frame, and puts the basket in the water to catch fish. When it's dark, she lights a fire for a while and then pulls the basket up. She catches 2 carp. Each one weighs about 100 grams. She is overjoyed. Back at camp, she enjoys delicious grilled fish, enjoying her time on Wednesday. That day, we both left the river, going through the forest slopes. I climbed to the top, covered in magical clouds. Although I can't see the suspension bridge, I've identified the direction. I run down the mountain. Meanwhile, Nis climbs gasping and has to lie down to rest. After a while, she gets up and continues her journey, but she's having trouble due to an unknown allergy. This persists for a few more hours. Until it gets dark, she sets up camp under a rock, placing logs for shelter. Meanwhile, while walking at night, I smell smoke and notice someone nearby. This place is definitely not that simple. I quietly approach. This time I do not pass but carefully watch. I come to Nis. We both sit by the campfire at night, talking about life and ideals. Then each of us rests on one side. At midnight, Nis sneaks away without me even knowing. When I wake up in the morning, Nis is gone. I immediately panic and quickly chase after her. Now Nis is running across the river, but I'm proud to have caught up and overtaken her. Nis keeps climbing the slope in the forest. She's just a little way from the destination, but I reach the suspension bridge first. I complete this challenge with victory. This is definitely one of Esther Ford's rare moments of brilliance. While surviving on a deserted island, I saw a sheep hang itself. It wasn't just because of that it became famous in the survival world. Wild. I even got a whole room full of dried lamb. Enjoying roasted lamb thighs with fragrant fat, as big as a fist. Turning the survival program into a wild food party. Since spending a year walking through the Amazon, your passive skills have been trained to the level of excess, but to challenge your limits. This time he decides to survive alone on the island, wild for 60 days. Know that this challenge might be a one-way trip. Before we start, I asked the vet for a comprehensive inspection to make sure there's no problem with my health. Then, I got on the production team's nuclear speedboat. Quickly arrived, took off my long pants, dressed Pixel, and said goodbye to my teammates. There was a complicated feeling in my heart, because I didn't bring anything this time. For the next 60 days, I could only overcome all difficulties on my own. As everyone knows, the most important thing about living on a deserted island is finding drinking water. Looking around, I saw that the island had a lot of coconut trees, but I had no tools for picking coconuts. So I picked from low trees and smashed coconuts on rocks to get drinking water. It was sweet, really great. After solving the urgent drinking water problem, I started thinking about shelter. Because the nighttime temperature here can plummet, I walked along the beach looking for shelter. I was lucky to find a cave. The size and location were suitable. So excited, I couldn't help but shout for joy. I decided to make this place my home. Then I found some hay that had drifted ashore and used it as a cushion. The first evening was just watching the sunset and eating coconuts. Life was really comfortable. The next morning, I woke up refreshed. Today's mission was to explore the island, searching for food and water. Along the beach, I found a lot of sea snails clinging to the rocks. I collected 10 and used stones to break the shells. Because of the risk of eating them raw, I tried one first. If there was no problem, I kept eating. The taste of snails was neither salty nor bland, and they contained many times more protein than beef. After eating and drinking, I kept exploring. I discovered a ditch in a cliff hole that still held fresh water. This made me very happy. I immediately tasted it and noticed the cool, fresh water. It was great, far better than beef. But being naked made me feel insecure. So I looked for bark nearby, stuffed it with hay, and made a sensitive zone protective suit for myself. I have to say, my craft was very good. I kept moving forward. I found many bottles in the forest, washed up by the waves, very suitable for storing fresh water, and one of them even had a straw. After another 45 minutes, I finally figured out the layout of the island. Because there was no road map, getting lost was easy. To have a comfortable sleep at night, I collected 10 more palm leaves, and suddenly caught an unlucky lizard. No need to drop the tail. You eat it directly, crispy like chewing near a cow. On Tuesday morning, I collected 10 seashells, washed them, and folded them immediately. As long as it rains, there will be fresh water. Then he used the rope he picked up as a straw. One end was in the water hole on the cliff, and the other end was in the bottle. Water would flow through the rope into the bottle. Done. He continued to explore deep within the island for resources. I couldn't believe what he found on the island. There were many wild mountain goats. It made you drool. But unfortunately, he had no hunting tools. He promised to catch one, then kept looking. He found charcoal wood left behind by lightning. It couldn't be eaten but was used to clean teeth. He ground it into a fine powder using stone, then put it into his mouth like tooth powder. It had a carbon content many times higher than beef. They often say guys love being clean. His luck wasn't so bad. On the way home, he found a classic shirt. Except for this find, he couldn't find any useful items on the island. By the 5th day, throughout the days gone by, he could only live on coconuts and sea snails. After checking the water collector, he saw it was almost half full. Seeing that water and food were no longer a problem, he decided to start a fire. To build a fire starter, he cut down a small tree and stripped the bark to make strings and formed a wooden bow. Then he chopped a piece of wood as a base. It's easy to say but hard to do. He worked all morning, so tired that his muscles were tense, he couldn't see a spark. Things got worse. The water collector malfunctioned. The collected water spilled out. Looking at the little water left, he felt more hopeless than ever. But life had to go on. He kept collecting coconuts to replenish water. However, the low-hanging coconuts near the coast were all gone. He had to climb the taller coconut trees. After 2 hours of hard work, he finally found a tree suitable for picking coconuts. That solved the urgent water shortage problem. Then, he made a grass dress to lift his spirits, and went back to camp to continue making fire. But whether using a saw or a drill, he still couldn't make a spark. Now, he realized the problem was that the wood was too soft. On the 7th day, due to a lack of nutrition and water, you look so weak. There's not enough strength left to pick coconuts. With just a few moves, I fell down. And now, my once strong heart suddenly feels broken. Loneliness, hunger, and despair gradually wear me down. I can only let go with screams of pain. But bad luck won't let me go. Vomiting returns again. After many days of eating raw sea cucumbers, my body finally can't take it anymore. I'm completely exhausted. Even coconut meat, which I once found delicious, has become hard to swallow. If it continues like this, it's not just the challenge that becomes difficult, but whether I can return to my grandmother is also uncertain. After careful thought, he decided to open his medical kit and inject antibiotics. He gave himself until the 11th day as the final deadline, and he began to see positive changes. His body started to heal, and last night's torrential rain filled the shelves. He used a straw to transfer the rainwater into plastic bottles. The joy was uncontrollable. This time, luck was on his side. He continued to explore the island, and found that taro contains a lot of starch. Cherry is for years old. However, eating it raw easily causes mouth ulcers, but that didn't stop him. He used stones as knives to cut it into thick slices. After 1 hour in the sun, he checked again after 2 hours. He picked one up and tried eating it. It was crispy like potato chips. With 10 times the starch content, he ate all the slices in one go. However, eating only vegetables without meat is not enough for nutrition. To get protein, he decided to build some fish traps. He cut the plastic bottles he collected in half, and inserted the mouth into the body. That's how the fish trap was made. He went to the coast and used sea cucumbers as bait, placing the trap in puddles between rocks. He checked again in 3 hours. Surprisingly, he caught some fish. There were small fish lying in the trap. He enjoyed the fish sashimi right away. With a mix of meat and vegetables, he was recharged. Right now, he felt powerful and motivated to survive. After reviewing the previous 7 failures, he chose a solid piece of wood as the base. Once everything was ready, he grabbed the drill and started rubbing it hard. After many attempts, a spark finally appeared. Then he added fuel and gently blew. "That doesn't make me a failure," he said. A powerful fire was successfully lit. It was truly difficult. I couldn't control my emotions. Tears of joy fell. It was even better than seeing my grandmother again. Now, I no longer have to eat raw food. Can I complete the challenge? Let's continue following. After a lot of effort, you finally started the fire. Like a British gentleman, the first thing you do when there's a fire is make yourself a cup of hot tea to enjoy. Take a sip of tea and feel the warmth. Your spirit has also improved a lot. Even ordinary raw coconut rice, you didn't forget to put it next to the fire. It tastes like a slightly burnt baked cookie. The summer challenge is 47 days long, and the rainy season is approaching. If you stay in the cave, sooner or later you'll freeze to death. So you've got to quickly build a shelter to block the wine before the rainy season comes. However, before that, you have to deal with something important. The rainwater you stored a few days ago is almost gone now. You have to find a new source of stable water. I remember exploring the island. I found a natural hole. Maybe there's fresh water there. He cleared the rocks above and indeed found one, a small transparent pond at the bottom. Turbid water turned dark yellow, but it was clean enough to drink. It tasted sweet and delicious, like wild Fanta. He collected water in 10 bottles in total. On the way back, he found a lemon tree. Its leaves contain a lot of vitamin C, suitable for brewing tea. He brought 11 leaves back to camp. Time had reached the 15th day. Early that morning, he went to sea. He caught some crabs and 2 flying fish. No more ginger or onions. So, he put it all in an iron pot to cook. He didn't miss a drop of the soup. Because in this place, no food can be wasted. After breakfast, he brought his tools to the island to find a flat area, spacious enough to build a shelter. There were no suitable cutting tools, so he had to use oyster shells instead. Just cutting down one tree took all his energy. First, he tied the main vertical bar, using ropes made from tree bark to secure it, so the shelter could block wind and rain. He needed at least 10 more poles. It took him 2 days to build the basic framework. This was the exact opposite of easy. Those were my poor tears. At noon, when the tide receded, he decided to go out and get some protein. To avoid sunburn, he used oil from the Sydney tree, applied it all over his body, and took the basket outside. Even though he couldn't find anything to eat, he discovered a lot. Marine litter washed ashore by waves. It was no different than a treasure. He didn't just collect 10 plastic bottles, but also picked up a toothbrush and a football. Until the 18th day, even though life is hard, but the habit of brushing your teeth every day still has to be maintained, he made toothpaste out of crushed coal. Clean your teeth. It's been half a month without combing inside or out. It doesn't feel like a good toothpaste. It's 10 times more effective than beef. And then he went on to build the shelter. I still lack a pole to support the roof. He started cutting down the tree with stones. However, due to long-term malnutrition, I could do it for a while and had to rest for hours. The body is always hungry for protein. There's no other way. I had to stop my work and carry a basket. Go to the sea looking for rotten fish. Bad shrimp this time. I got a lot of things besides crab. I also found an unlucky eel. However, when an unknown creature is discovered, I can't help but shiver. To witness a strange creature, I open my eyes. This creature isn't just monstrous, but it's constantly flowing out a cloudy white liquid. Just a moment later the liquid was all over me. Although it's not clear whether it's edible or not. But you just need to be able to supplement protein. I packed it and took it back to camp. I put it on the grill. Bake for about 10 minutes and try a piece. It's pliable, sweet and sticky. Nutritionally, there's no need to say. At least 10 times more beef. And this strange creature, while grilling, it exploded again into the water. They don't look interested in eating. But in principle no waste. I still swallow a piece. It tastes like a burning wheel. On the night of the 19th, you faced your first challenge. In the early morning, he started collecting 10 soft drinks with a straw, collected 9 bottles of imported mineral water. You finally don't have to worry about fresh water anymore. But this rain makes me feel the pressure. Because of your cave, face the sea, and nothing to cover. If the weather gets worse, it will no longer be suitable to stay. Looks like you have to hurry. Completed the construction of the shelter. Because the island doesn't have big leaves for a roof, you can only use palm leaves to weave tea. Then he tied the woven leaves to the frame. Over the next few days, you keep doing these things. Until the 22nd day of the challenge when he was picking coconuts. I made a sudden discovery. This one is like a durian. But even I'm not sure I can eat it. You break one and try one. As a result, it tastes spicy. That I can't swallow. To replenish energy, I've been back in the area before, discovered the taro. Recall that the taro used to be delicious. So I thought that leaves could be eaten. However, when trying to eat, I feel my gums aching and my tongue is burning. Fortunately, I was able to pull it out in time. If not, the challenge of survival on the island will end here. In the next period of time, the food problem has not improved. It's the speed of your construction. Very slow. The roof is only half finished. One day when we go to the sea looking for food, I even met a tough guy. Bitten by the eel several times. What makes you angrier is some goats. Wild on the island, I don't see you. Just eat and drink right next to your shelter. If not because there is no proper tool in hand, you must have butchered them. To the 24th day, thinking that the shelter was almost complete, I decided to move the dry wood. But when you're happily planning, suddenly the roof was too short. Not enough to cover the rain. I don't want the days of effort to go by for nothing. I decided to extend the roof. But now my body is tired. Every part of the body longs for rest. It reminds me of my grandmother. I thought I'd give up. I can't believe you're used to this life. On the 27th day, luck finally came to me. When he explored the island, he found taro. Total, I dug up 7 taro and some sea crabs. There's enough food. You finally also completed the construction of the roof for the shelter. Until the 29th day. After 2 days of renovation, your shelter is finally complete. Makes my spirit so excited. And I can't help but sing the original songs that I've composed in the last 2.5 years. Then, he packed his bags and brought the fire to his new neighborhood. After completing this important work, I decided to reward myself with a cup of tea, Big Loke Spring. However, I am not satisfied with the present because I have a bigger plan to make. And in the next episode of the Island Survival Challenge, Wild will come to the climax. Let's wait and see. This is definitely a controversial scene, especially in a survival career. You're wild when others are struggling. With 3 days of hunger and 9 meals, you found wild goats on the island. Not only full harvest of dry goat meat, but also enjoy the coconut filling with fists. Just sipping crispy roasted goat legs on the outside, soft on the inside. People who look at you think you're on vacation. Since moving into a new house, your life is slowly going to a dead end. Every day I have to go to the sea to make a living. Even though the eating problem has been solved, but to be able to live life like a king, you have to deal with the wild goats on the island. After a few days follow-up, I found out there were 7 wild goats. They spend most of their time in the north of the island. So, he decided to build a bow for hunting. I cut down a small tree of no value, make a bow and use a rope. Find a bow. It takes less than 10 minutes. The bow can hit the target accurately. I can't wait to experiment. I didn't expect the arrow to go to the right. Seems to need a little more improvement. On the 37th day, he got a big harvest. Early in the morning he went to the sea and harvested some 10 crabs, and 2 big boxes full of sea snails, enough to provide energy for the whole day. However, as he prepares to cook a hearty seafood feast, then an unexpected sight made me 7. The bottom of the box has broken a large hole. Instead, we have to use seashells. Look at the colorful and flavorful crab soup pot. I can't wait and start enjoying it. It is delicious, but you should not eat too much. In fact, the next morning I found out my stomach is like a balloon. Even frequent farting. To alleviate the symptoms, he started chewing wood. But soon the situation got worse. Constant headaches and stomach cramps caused me so much pain that I lie on the ground and scream. Can't take it anymore. I'll call the paramedics immediately. But after a long time they arrived. Your condition has improved somewhat. The doctors just asked, give me some antibiotics and leave. The next morning, the body is still not fully recovered. But going to the sea, I can't give up food every day. That's what it takes to survive on the island. While walking, I found a big box of Chinese goods. Take it back to the camp with stones, split apart to form a cooking pot. Sturdy and durable. Then he sharpened the blunt piece of iron he picked up, and then used the bark to match it to a piece of wood to form a battle axe. Test a little. I saw the axe. It is so sharp that it can be used to cut trees. Vegetables easy. Half a month ago, you've entered a period of cultivation. Grow some taro that you don't want to eat. That way every time the season comes, you can harvest taro again. Cherries a taro doesn't grow well. Take it home and cut it into shoes. You don't need spices, you just throw them in a pot and heat them. The 43rd day has arrived. Your luck has finally come. When exploring the island, I found a giant coconut crab. Pick it up and try the feeling. It's actually over 10 pounds. This makes me very happy. Because it's a premium material. You just roast it on a charcoal fire, without adding spices. After half an hour, the smell of roasted crabs filled the camp. Crab meat is bigger than a punch. 1 piece is enough to satisfy you. They eat so well that they can't speak. After adequate protein supplementation, I feel full of energy. That day I decided to finish my bow. After adding the nail to the tip of the arrow to increase penetration, everything is ready. There's only 1 goat missing. I went into the forest looking for traces of wild goats. After many missed shots, I can only justify that the terrain is narrow. It has affected my performance. The 44th day went by, though we didn't catch any goats. But life has to go on. I found a water pipe and a plastic container. They're going to build an automated water storage system. First he cut off the water pipe raw, then put them under the eaves, so that rainwater can flow into the plastic container at the end of the tube. Very fast. The opportunity to test the feasibility of this device has come. A sudden torrential rain fell on the island. Rainwater flows according to the tube and continuously pour into the container. I don't worry about lack of water anymore. Your luck has not stopped. That day when I went out on a schedule to find seafood, I suddenly discovered a goat, male hanging undead on the beach. The goat's head was stuck firmly into the tree's branches. Before a protein-rich meal that self-surges, the adrenaline in your body starts to surge. The goat that was suddenly illuminated by light trembled with fear. To avoid giving it unnecessary pain, you with a kind heart, pick up a stone from the ground and finish quickly, and humanize its life. With this adult goat for the next half-month, you don't have to worry about food anymore. I can't help but be excited and say yes. Bring protein back to camp. Take out the battle axe that has been stored for a long time. He quickly processed the goat's outer layer. After more than 2 hours of processing, he got 4 goat legs, 2 pieces of ribs and a pile of meat. Next he cuts the meat into long pieces. After more than 7 hours of work, you've completed the processing. Right now, he was exhausted and quickly cooked a pot of soup. Goat for me. I'm about to enjoy a delicious meal. Make him happy like a 20-year-old. Then you try a piece of goat meat. And it's so delicious that it can't be described. The nutritional value is not discussed. At least 10 times more beef. After eating until the next morning, the food will spoil if left for a long time. He hung meat on the roof to smoke and prepare an underground oven for processing. He dug a big hole and filled the rocks in. Next you light a big fire and wait for the fire to go out. And then neatly put the goat's legs on the surface. Cover a layer of leaves and soil to retain heat. 2:30 after you come back, check. When you open up the soil, the fragrance comes out. I can't wait for it to cool down and eat a big piece. Feel extremely satisfied. I can feel the energy pouring into my body. A strong feeling. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. After a full meal, I sat by the beach enjoying the sunset. In the following days, you sit in the shelter and enjoy goat meat every day. Until the 47th day, I eat half the meat on the roof. It's not because the meat will spoil. It's because it's so delicious. I can't stop eating. I even get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and still have to take a sip. And when it comes to goat skin, you don't waste it. After he washed it, he hung it on a wooden frame to dry. When the skin is dry, he handled simply and got a goat leather jacket. I feel very comfortable wearing it. When you put on your goat leather jacket, I feel his appearance and temperament have improved. A lot, but you don't stop there. They keep looking for more food. I went to the place where the goat's organs were removed. It's full of worms. I decided to take advantage of them. I don't hesitate. Carefully collect a full jar. And then we take them into puddles on the rocks. Then he built a stone wall across the entrance. I hope there will be fish eating away. As long as they go in, they can only be turned into calories. 2:30 after check back. I actually caught a big, small grouper. I took it back to camp and cut it into thick pieces. Put it in the stew pot. About 5 minutes, and a delicious fish soup is finished. A piece of fish in your mouth that's full of fresh flavor. Things just keep going well. And I'm starting to feel complacent. In the following days, I started making a bamboo raft. He collected 11 little dried bamboo from around raft frame construction, and then tie up the sponge to increase its buoyancy. A small raft is finished. On the 51st day he chose a beautiful day to sail. I don't know if it was due to strong winds or strong waves. You've been climbing for half a day, only 2.5 meters. Even the waves pushed the raft back to shore. I think this method is definitely not possible. I had to give up my fishing plan. Until the 57th day of having enough food. I didn't forget to increase my physical training. Try to get them excited when you get back. In my free time, I made myself a bed. Attached with a warm goat fur blanket. A finished wild-style bed. When I lie down, my body feels completely relaxed. One day when I went out for a walk, I found a mango tree. Seeing the lush green appearance is definitely not ripe. But I don't care. Pick a fruit and eat it immediately. I don't know if it's because I bit too hard that you accidentally dropped the denture. Now when I talk, I can't stop losing my breath. Until noon, he cooks a pot of seafood mixed with taro. A homemade exotic dish and enjoy. Fast forward to the end of the day. When I woke up that morning, I feel like my body is working well. After 60 days on the island, your beard has reached the top of your head. After saying goodbye to the tent that had been attached for 2 months, I'm happy to take my raw gear to the beach. As the helicopter slowly approaches, a 60-day survival challenge on the island, the wilderness ended perfectly.